Someone's not making it out alive after this week's episode of Zenshu, or at least the anime wants us to assume as such. You would have to assume Natsuko lives, I mean, given the fact that, well, you could argue, well, she died once, but she gonna be going back home to write that love movie, so she probably gonna make it all the way to the finish line. And might want to argue, well, Luke can't die either because, well, he's like the main love interest who will teach her about love. But that doesn't change the fact that they're going to skewer Luke next episode. I would be shocked otherwise. Because what has happened in this week's episode is something that's never happened. This is a girl that's, whether it was in her original world, doing all the animation, or here, she does everything by herself. And I knew it was going to catch up to her, and I knew she was going to have to learn the value of teamwork and not doing everything herself. But I wasn't expecting her animation to fail, have to add on to the animation so it could continue fighting, only for it to get skewered. And by the looks of it, this slime-like beast, because they cracked open all the eggs, and they pretty much merged into a slime monster, it's attacking her like a serpent, and I assume, because if you've seen enough stories like this, Luke is going to then shield her and probably get skewered to protect her. He probably makes it out alive, but at the same time, this could get dark. No matter what, she's gonna have a guilty conscience because she's so gun-ho. Because they were going to scout it first, like make sure, like weren't just going to go hit first and, ask questions later. She's got a lot of growing up to do, and this is going to be a turning point. Whether Luke makes it out completely unharmed, as does she, or someone loses a limb or potentially their life, they want you to be concerned going into next week's episode, and the fact that she's already failed because she's really kind of been doing cruise control. She may have defeated what is supposed to be the final boss by episode 4, but it doesn't change the fact there's a lot of new things now happening that she doesn't have predictions of, and it's time this bitch learns the value of teamwork, because otherwise people are going to lose their heads. Now, of course, if you want to support my work and see my full thoughts on this amazing Isekai, we do got the Patreon, where we got those full live reactions available exclusively over there. So, this was a very enjoyable episode. Completely impossible to predict up until the ending, because I think the ending, we probably know where it wants to go. But at the same time, they could completely pull the rug from under my feet next week, and I would be like, yep, that's okay. It was such a wholesome episode for the most part. Like, I saw what they wanted to do early on. Like, very clearly with how they started the episode, and especially how, like, it reminds the viewer that she does everything herself, right? Like, yes, she doesn't understand love, so person who knows what love is, draw out what love is, because, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. But in terms of everything else, it's like, yeah, all this extra workload, I'll just do it myself. I'm better at it. And very clearly, the two things, at least the two things, that this reincarnation isekai thing is going to teach her. Because I assume, like I said since the beginning, the show's going to wrap up with her waking up. She might just cough out the bad clam. She might not even be in a hospital. She might just be okay after that. But either way, the fact that she needs to learn the value of teamwork and working in a team, and not just saying, I can do everything alone, because we can see how that, can kill you, not even just by going up against monsters, but also what love is. And I know, like, I've seen enough stories. I'm more expecting Luke to make it. I think he'll get skewered, but I think he pulls through. But I am thinking about how this show could go crazy and actually kill Luke off. Like I said, it's not my biggest prediction right now. My biggest prediction is he gets skewered, maybe even loses a limb, and then she has to feel guilty about that going forward. But if they went the route of someone sacrificing themselves to protect her, to give her a chance, and they go because apparently the original movie was very dark. It has yet to be dark because of our character in question. Him dying, saving her, would be insane storytelling. I doubt they go this direction. I personally hope they do, because I think it would be the best narrative choice, even if it was the most painful. But, either way, whatever they pull, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy. It's just very fun because, while the logical part of my brain saying, of course he'll live, the hopeful part of me is like, as much as I like Luke as a character, and I think, offers that kind of generic but important love story for her so she can learn, her first maybe love being someone who sacrificed himself to protect her is pretty insane. And honestly, there's a lot more possibilities with him dying here than there is with him living. It's an anime original. No one can tell me I'm completely right or wrong until next week, but if I turn out to be right with that, I apologize. Like I said, though, most likely he gets hurt. gives her a wake-up call. Shit, I gotta protect. Maybe she has a bit more energy and we deal with this. And then she has to grieve. Maybe then she has to learn the value of teamwork. Maybe she has a guilty conscience. That will work too, but it is fun to speculate on how dark it could get, given that they have established that the original movie was incredibly messed up. Even for probably not showing as many of the darker themes, like they walk through essentially a pleasure district. She even says, like, that wasn't in the movie. So yes, it didn't go as dark as maybe the original creators wanted to, but there still was death and sacrifice, so it's not impossible to say that this couldn't happen here. But an enjoyable episode. We're already seeing that, well, apparently the orphanage is already a go. And I like kind of throughout the episode, before all this shit hit the fan, you know, you got this sense of envy, but also awe-inspired, because Luke, like, would try to be like, hey, here's this orphanage, but no one would listen to him, and then she'd speak up and everyone would. So I was like, okay, we're definitely getting into this kind of envious arc, and I think they did a good job. And then you introduced this dragon who was ready to take a ride on the Nosco train. I mean, he literally straight up said, wanna fool around? And I'm like, oh, okay. Jealous Luke arc incoming, and then they blindside me with what they did by the end. Just a very enjoyable episode, and it's like, after last week, all bets were off. You're like, okay, this show's not going anywhere close to where I originally thought it was going. And this episode, while for like the first 3/4 of it, give or take, I was like, okay, well, I still don't know exactly where it's going. It feels more like an episode that's easy to process. And then the end comes and you're like, okay, there's 2 routes they go here. And either one of them will be very enjoyable, because you have the characterization, no matter what happening, of a girl needing to value teamwork, because had she not just gone in there and cut it apart, it's possible they might have been able to like realize, oh shit, like this is a trap, right? To be fair, I was in her boat. I was like, smash that shit. Just get, like, I was saying draw a giant fly swatter and just smack that shit on the ground. So I would have messed up too. I'm not saying I'm any better than her, but yeah, like, she needs to work in a team. And I think everyone collectively realizes that she's going back home to finish that movie when this is all said and done. I hope they go the route that this was a real world, though. She just questions if it was like all a dream or something, but it was a real world for us watching, and then she goes back. But Mappa's cooking. I especially love the montage at the start. They showed like 3 or 4 of her creations. One was a baseball player. I was like, what the hell? I kind of wish we saw more of that one, but some good shit nonetheless. They want you to think someone's dying. I admit probably no one will die, but I would be shocked if no one at the very least got skewered next week. Agree? Disagree? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got him, Estavio, M. Kiddo, Phoenix, Yunin, and we also have Skull Flenek. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. You'll have a good one.